The young woman with short black hair walked into the bathroom just as the last wink of sunlight sank into the purple, gossamer shadows on the horizon. Her bare feet padded across yellowing ceramic tiles. The 50s style fixtures were all yellowing, in fact, lending to the room a surreal sepia tone. Agatha had been named for a grandmother or an aunt. Which of these, she could not remember. Her mind couldn't make space for such details among the tangled threads of anxiety and utter exhaustion of struggling to pay for the walk-up she had loved when the city still felt like an adventure, and not an oppressive beast with its teeth curled threateningly around her. Her cigarette jeans were sagging slightly at the waist, and her thin tie-shirt hung a full inch above the gap, instead of meeting it directly. Regarding herself in the cloudy mirror, she saw that she was thinner. The sickly light highlighted grayish-purple rings under her eyes. Looking herself directly in the eyes, Agatha touched her left pinky to her left thumb, 1 ring finger. 2. Focusing on her breath, she touched her middle finger to her thumb. 3. Another breath, pointer finger. 4. Tapping each of her right fingers against her thumb, she spoke the numbers again. Then, taking as deep a breath as she could hold, Agatha tried to let go of the day. She reached through the curtain and turned the pre-war era shower handle. After a pained groan, the shower head shuddered and water began to pour out into the deep, cast-iron tub. Agatha watched as bubbles slid down her skin and swirled the drain. It was almost hypnotic. Shaking herself out of her reverie, she reached up and out, lifting onto her tiptoes to grab the washcloth hanging limply from the shower head. She knew something was wrong. The tub was gone. Her feet were somewhere in space, and the ceiling was hanging at an odd angle, as if the building had been suddenly upended or shaken. She watched from her peculiar vantage point as the washcloth slithered into the tub with a wet splat and was sucked into the drain. The moment lasted longer than she could have imagined possible. Long enough for terror to well up in her like blood rushing to escape through a freshly made puncture in the skin. And then, suddenly, the tub rushed up and met her unyieldingly. Her neck hit the edge with a sickening crack that she heard, but did not feel. After hitting the edge of the tub, her head had slipped down into it. She was lying somewhat supine, with her legs splayed frog style. Water was beginning to pool under her butt and back. There was pain, but in that tangential way that there is weight to the air. It existed on the periphery, only when you didn't look at it directly. It was hard to draw in a breath. It felt as if a weight were on her diaphragm. 1. She tasted the word, but her pinky made no move toward her thumb. She tilted her eyes as far as they would go down and to the left. She tried again. 1. Her fingers did not move. She caught sight of the water, pooled now to the middle of her rib cage. 1, 1, 1, 1. She made the word over and over, willing herself to move. Her hand stayed still. It was pressing so hard on her that the word escaped in a breathless whisper. The spattering of the water easily drowning it out. She could feel the water level rising to the back of her neck, to her ears, over her ears, muting the sounds of the room. Soon, only her eyes and nose were above the water. 1, she whispered shakily. 1, 1. Then the water covered her face, and it was dark.